Hey YouTube, I just wanted to make a quick video showing how you could utilize your V drums to record multi-track alongside with your bandmates in real time. It's one of the perks of V drums that I don't think gets talked about enough. I mean, obviously recording real drums is better, but it's very difficult without multiple rooms, big studio, to record bleed-free drums and bleed-free guitars, basses all together. So yeah, this is how I've been setting up my recording sessions using an aggregate device. And this is a Mac specific tutorial. Sorry for the PC users out there. I might learn that someday, but I'm more of a Mac guy. So yeah, let's get started. All right, before we get too deep into the computer settings, I think it is important to address the output. So what you're going to do on your module, hit System, Output, hit Enter. Now when you're on this first page, the pad master output, you're probably going to notice that all of your individual pieces are going out of the master, which for the sake of this, I like to run the overheads out of the master output. So it's kind of redundant to also have the drum pads. Gives you less flexibility. So what you're going to do is for each one, kick, just have it set to just phones. Here's your Tom 1, Tom 2. And like I said, this will allow you to have just your overhead signal in that channel instead of the whole kit combined. You might have to do the same thing for pad direct. Now I like to run the overhead through the master left right, and then the room out of direct 1 and 2. So that's how you separate your room and overhead mics without also having the drums added in addition to those signals. All right, let's get started. The first thing you're going to need to do is find the audio MIDI setup. I have mine saved here in my dock, but you could find it with the Finder. And what you're going to do is hit this little plus button down here to create devices and create an aggregate device. Now once you click that, you're going to see all your different interfaces and your tech that you have that have audio inputs. So you can see here, there's my Zoom. It has 22 channels. The TD27's on the back. You also see the claret, but for the sake of this example, I'm not going to use that one. And you'll see in Logic, once you create that, it'll give you the option to use that aggregate device as your audio interface. Now, as we start to assign channel numbers to the drum kit, just keep in mind that the V drums start at channel 23. And if you're not familiar with how these drums are set up, I prefer to run them in stereo. You could run individual, but I like running them in stereo. So it starts at 23 and 24, and I know that there's 14 tracks. Now you could make a template for this, but I'm just going to set it up. And I know the order of it. So 23, 24 is going to be your overhead. 25, 26 is a room. 27, 28 is kick, snare. And then it goes in order. Tom 1, Tom 2, Tom 3. And then you got your cymbals. Hi-hat, crash 1, crash 2, and then ride. And then you have your 3 auxiliary pads at the bottom. Now, another important feature when you're recording with this many tracks, remember to go up to record and enable low latency monitoring mode. This will allow you to hear playback in real time without any delay. Very important feature. And now let's just turn on our tracks. This is the slow way to do it. But afterwards, what I usually do for the drums in particular is I like to make a group. So what you'll do is you'll need to highlight, hold down Shift, and then click all the way to the other end and hit group 1. And then I just name it drums. And then I turn off the volume and mute, but I like to enable the record. So that way when you hit record on one channel, it'll turn it on and off for all your drums. It just makes it a lot easier and smoother. So I realized I might have skipped a step. So if you need help selecting your aggregate device, go to Logic Pro settings and then change the input and output to aggregate device. Now what you could also do is you could specify which device or audio interface you want the audio to go out of. For example, in this instance, I like to use my Zoom. It's connected to my PA system. And it's kind of annoying. You're going to have to reselect the input. But once you have it, you'll have the aggregate device in and the zoom out. I also like the zoom because it has 6 headphone outputs, which just makes it a lot easier than using headphone splitters and all that. So another useful feature to reduce clutter is I like to create stacks. So if you highlight all your drums, right click and then click create track stack. And for this demonstration, I'm going to use a folder stack. But then you could rename that stack drums, and you have an expandable folder where you could open and close all the tracks just by clicking that little caret. So now I'm going to go look back at my audio MIDI setup just to remember which track goes with which track on the aggregate device. It gets more complicated when you're using more. Just double checking. So we want to use input number 1 on the zoom for the vocal mic. Now you'll see that it's set to default as a stereo track because that's what we use for the drums. To get rid of that, change it to mono. Just click the 2 circles. That'll change it back to mono. And then let's click input 1, change it to vocal. All right, so from here we're going to select record for our drums and our vocal mic. And I'm going to hit record. And bear with me as I walk over to my drum kit across the room. All right, as you can see here, the vocal mic is working, as are all our drums. So here's our kick, snare, toms, your hi-hat, crash. And it's a simple setup for this demonstration, but the point is that you could record 2 things at the same time. It's the whole point of this video. I will do a more complex rundown in the future, but this should be enough to get you started. All right, that should do it. That should be just a high-level overview of how you are able to record your drums and another audio interface at the same time. You know, it lets you record your band and yourself multi-track simultaneously, which I find very useful and one of the perks of using V-drums. I will in the near future make another video showing how this is done with the full band actually in the room and show you how that sounds. So stay tuned for that. If you found this useful, please consider giving a like and subscribe, and happy recording. Thank you.